How's things looking in Minnesota for you on this big night? And by the way, thanks for giving us a few minutes on the big day.
Well, we're excited about the direction of the country overall. When Steve Bannon brought me into the movement, he and I had very similar ideas about the threat of globalism, the threat of global citizenship, and the value of American citizenship. And this America First movement has made extreme headway. Me winning an endorsement that day at that convention was a departure from the norm, from the status quo for the party here in the state of Minnesota. So we feel that we've had great victory already, and we plan to have another big-time victory tonight for America First and MAGA.
Let's talk about Mr. Walz. We have so many things to talk about him. This guy is fine with late-term abortion. This guy wants to take certain guns away from you. He claimed he carried weapons of war in war, so he's got stolen valor. I'm a vet. That pisses me off. Not to mention, he retires knowing full well his troops were going to Iraq, and he retires a couple months before that, so he wouldn't have to go to war. Those are facts. He knew they were going to deploy. I can go on and on about this radical guy, climate change. He thinks we're all going to melt and be covered up by water in a few years. I mean, he is a radical, progressive person, and I would call him maybe even more radical than Kamala Harris. I don't know. You probably know him better than I because you live there.
Well, it's funny to me, as a couple of things on that front. One, we have a lot of people who have fled Minnesota in years past, a lot of Republicans who have fled Minnesota for a state like, let's say, Florida. And when he got the nod to be the VP, I put a post out online and said, you can't run from communism. The stolen valor, I mean, it doesn't get any more dishonorable than that. But the signal from the noise with Tim Walz is that he had an $18 billion surplus, and he didn't give a single penny back to the workers. He didn't give a single penny back to the citizens. And that is the hallmark of communism, really. I mean, if you make money, take money from the citizens, and even when you're ahead, you don't give money back, that's the communism we're really trying to fight. Another thing is Walz is going to be used to try and reinvigorate that 2020 culture war that happened here because of George Floyd, and use it to prop Kamala up as this savior of blacks and minorities. Here in Minnesota, we have the worst racial disparity gap in our education system in the entire country.
Yep. Go look at liberal cities and states. It's happening everywhere. And liberals are in charge, and they say they care about black and brown people. They're full of you-know-what. Because if they did, it would show up in the jobs, in the education, in the safety and communities. They don't put anything back into black, brown, or white poor communities. Let's face it, forget color. They don't care about the poor and middle class. They sell it like they do every 2, 4, or 6 years when there's a frickin' election, but Democrats could care less.